Alright, welcome back, guys. This is our third tutorial, not the last, but the third for the series. Now, already we are now able to have our sign up form. We are now able to have our PHP document for processing the information. Now we need to be able to send this information from PHP to SQL. So how do we go about it? Now, because we now know that information can be received into these variables, we no longer need to display it inside PHP. So for us to be able to display, or for us to be able to communicate with a database, few key things are required. Now, for a database connection, you require, number one, the server, which is where you are storing your database. So others might choose to write localhost, which is perfectly fine, or you could actually put the IP address of your localhost 127.0.0.1, still the same thing. Secondly, you require the username to access the database system. And because we are going to be using a XAMPP database, our username is always going to be root. And it is going to also require a password, hence why I did not use the word password earlier on for our other variable. This one, I'm just going to call it like that because it's an empty string. Lastly, you might need to connect directly to the exact database. So for that to occur, we can just call this DB name, and the exact name of our database, let's say it's a shop, so we're just going to call it let's call it Craig shop. Yeah, Craig shop, like that. So whenever we are connecting to our database, it will require these items. Now for that to occur, we require one of the other most important things, which is actually a function that connects to the database. Now this function brings back a variable, or let's say it brings back a Boolean value as an answer per each transaction. So we can start by creating a variable for it. Let's call it test, which is going to be for a new MySql function, and this function requires conditions, which is number one, the name of the server. So we specify the server. We also specify the username, and we specify also the password, and lastly we specify the name of the database name, which is DB name. So when this function executes, it stores a Boolean condition, whether it's true or it's not true, into this variable. True meaning that there is a connection to the database, and false, not true, which is false, mean that there is no connection to the database. So for us to test that, we would say if not. Why? Because we are trying to test if this is true or not. So if not true, or if true, then if not true, what can it do? It means that there is no connection to the database. It can easily tell us no DB connection. But if that statement executes and it gives a true condition, we can just echo a statement that says connected. Right? So having done that, let's test our our application. So as we refresh, it already enters information. So let's just say Craig, our email address, our password 123, our password 123. When you click sign up, we're supposed to get two results. Either there is no database connection, or there's a database connection. And in this case, there is no database connection. Why? Because we have not yet done a connection to the database. and it can even tell you no connection could be made because target machine actively what? Refused. So coming back here, we know that, alright, there's no database connection. So how do we go about it? We now go and start the database connection. Now, how do we go about starting the database connection? You come back to your XAMPP control panel. Over here, you start your SQL. When you start your SQL, this is the one that is going to be responsible for storing the information. We have not yet stored the information, but we want to store the information. So when you start this, it'll open a new page on my PHP admin, and we want to create a new database. So we would say new. The name of the database is the name that we mentioned over here, which is Craig Shop. So I'm just going to copy this name, come back here, paste it over here, and then create a database. As you can see, we now have a database called Craig Shop, in as much as it has got no tables. So we come back to our text editor. We know that, alright, database now exists. So let's test if our page is going to actually communicate with this database. So as we click sign up, as you can see, it now says connected, meaning that this executed found that this is true, and because it's true, it will echo out that there's a database connection. Having said that, it now means that whatever that is going to be done within the database, it now needs to be done inside this else statement. Well, others might choose not to put the else, but I would suggest that you put the else, that you get to know which errors you're going to be encountering and where. Now, also adding on to that, our database currently has got no tables, meaning that within our next tutorial, what we mainly need to do is make sure that there is a database table. Why? Because the database table is the one that is going to be responsible for getting this information and getting it from PHP into our database. Don't worry, yes, I know I put it down to the bottom a bit, but it is because for a specific reason. Now, if there is a database connection, then we now need to have these inside over here so that the information can be sent. What's the purpose of us collecting information if the information is not okay? Now, also, we are also going to explain the concept of how we can test if the passwords are the same or not. Thank you so much. Let me meet you again on our 4th tutorial for this series.